There is a truth most men hate hearing, but women feel it instantly. She does not want the man who needs her. She wants the man who could lose her and still stand steady. And the reason is not cruelty, it's not ego, it's not manipulation, it's psychology. The moment a woman senses that a man's emotional stability depends on her presence, something subtle breaks. She may still care, she may still enjoy his attention, but desire quietly steps back. Because need creates pressure, and pressure kills attraction. Most men think needing a woman shows love, commitment, and emotional depth. They believe attachment makes them valuable. But emotionally, the opposite happens. When a man needs a woman, he hands her responsibility for his emotional state. His mood rises with her attention. His confidence drops with her distance. And without realizing it, he places her in control. Control eliminates polarity. High-value men never do this. They want connection, but they do not require it to feel whole. They enjoy closeness, but their identity does not orbit around it. And that independence creates a presence that women feel before they can explain it. This is the secret most men miss. A woman does not want to be needed. She wants to be chosen. Chosen freely. Chosen calmly. Chosen without desperation. The man who doesn't need her sends a powerful emotional signal. He communicates that his life has direction, purpose, and internal grounding. His interest feels intentional, not urgent. His attention feels valuable, not automatic. And that difference changes everything. This is why women often feel drawn to men who seem emotionally independent. Not because those men don't care, but because their care does not come with strings attached ups. A woman feels free around such a man. Free to lean in, free to pull back, free to choose without guilt. And freedom is where desire lives. This video is not about playing hard to get. It's not about emotional coldness. And it's not about pretending not to care. It's about understanding why the man who does not need a woman becomes the man she quietly wants. Why emotional self-sufficiency creates attraction. Why detachment feels stronger than attachment. And why the man who chooses himself first is the one she can't stop thinking about. Stay until the end, because once you understand why women want the man who doesn't need them, you'll realize that attraction was never about convincing her. It was always about mastering yourself. Before we start, a quick reminder. The real transformation doesn't happen on YouTube. It happens inside the community. If these videos have opened your eyes, what's inside will rebuild your mindset completely. It's not just a course, it's a brotherhood. A private space where men master attraction, emotional control, and the psychology of power. You don't join for a month, you join for life. Every future course, book, and lesson is yours forever. No subscriptions, no limits, just one decision that changes your direction. If you're serious about growth, discipline, and purpose, click the link below. Join the community. Enroll once, grow forever. Let's dive in. Section number 1. Neediness. Signals. Emotional instability, not love. Most men confuse emotional need with emotional depth. They believe that wanting a woman intensely proves sincerity, commitment, and masculinity. But emotionally, need communicates something very different. Need signals instability. When a man needs a woman to feel confident, calm, or complete, his emotional center shifts outside of himself. His reactions begin to depend on her behavior. Her mood influences his mood. Her distance creates anxiety. Her attention creates relief. That dependency is felt immediately. A woman senses when a man's emotional balance is tied to her presence. Even if he never says it out loud, his behavior reveals it. He checks in more often. He seeks reassurance. He reacts quickly to changes in energy, and without realizing it, he places emotional weight on her shoulders. That weight kills desire. High-value men understand that attraction grows when a woman feels free, not responsible. Free to feel what she feels, free to move at her own pace, free to choose without guilt. Need removes freedom. When a man needs a woman, she no longer feels chosen. She feels required, and being required creates pressure. Pressure turns affection into obligation. Obligation suffocates attraction. This is why women often pull back from men who seem emotionally invested too early. Not because those men are bad, but because their investment feels heavy. High-value men never make their emotional stability someone else's responsibility. They want connection, but they do not outsource their self-worth. They enjoy intimacy, but they do not collapse when it's uncertain. Their life has structure, purpose, and direction that exists independently of romantic attention. That independence is deeply attractive. A woman feels that being with such a man is an addition to his life, not the foundation of it. His presence feels intentional, not desperate. His interest feels grounded, not urgent. This is the first reason women want the man who doesn't need them, because he does not attach his identity to the outcome. High-value men do not fear loss the way needy men do. They understand that losing someone does not mean losing themselves, and that confidence creates emotional safety without pressure. Emotional safety combined with independence is rare. Most men offer emotional closeness without independence. High-value men offer closeness with independence, and that balance allows desire to grow naturally. This is why women don't fall for men who need them. They fall for men who choose them from a place of strength. Section number 2. Why independence feels safer than attachment. Most men believe attachment makes a woman feel secure. They think the more emotionally connected they become, the safer she will feel. But emotional safety does not come from attachment. It comes from independence. When a man is emotionally independent, his presence feels stable. His mood does not fluctuate with attention. His confidence does not rise and fall based on validation. And that consistency creates safety without pressure. High-value men understand this instinctively. They do not cling to connection to feel grounded. They remain grounded first, then invite connection. And that order changes how a woman experiences them. A woman feels safer with a man who does not emotionally attach too quickly because she senses that his world will not collapse if things change. She does not feel responsible for keeping him emotionally balanced. She does not feel like she must regulate his feelings to maintain peace. That relief is powerful. Most men unintentionally create emotional tension by attaching early. They invest deeply before stability is established. They merge emotionally before trust has time to grow. And without realizing it, they create pressure where attraction should be forming. High-value men avoid this completely. They let connection develop naturally. They allow attraction to breathe. They do not rush emotional fusion. And because of that, their presence feels calm instead of consuming. This calmness is what women respond to. A man who does not need a woman to feel complete creates an emotional environment where she can relax. She does not need to guard her independence. She does not need to manage expectations. She does not feel trapped by emotional responsibility. Freedom allows desire to deepen. This is why women often say they feel more comfortable around emotionally independent men. Not because those men are distant, but because they are not emotionally demanding. High-value men do not require constant reassurance. They do not interpret silence as rejection. They do not panic when energy shifts. Their emotional steadiness allows the connection to unfold without fear. That steadiness is rare. When a woman senses that a man is emotionally self-sufficient, she feels that choosing him would be a genuine choice, not an obligation. And choice is the foundation of attraction. This is the second reason women want the man who doesn't need them. Because independence feels safer than attachment. Attachment asks something from her. Independence offers something to her. And women are drawn to what feels offered, not demanded. Section number 3. Why being needed makes her feel trapped, not chosen. This is the part most men never want to face. When a man needs a woman, she does not feel loved, she feels trapped. At first, attention feels flattering. Emotional availability feels warm. Investment feels meaningful. But when that investment turns into dependence, the emotional tone changes, slowly, quietly, without warning. A woman begins to feel that her presence is required for his stability, that her absence would cause emotional disruption, and that realization creates pressure. Pressure kills desire. High-value men understand that attraction only exists where choice exists. The moment a woman feels she is responsible for a man's emotional state, the dynamic shifts from desire to duty. Duty is the enemy of attraction. This is why women often pull away from men who are too invested. Not because those men are bad, but because their investment feels heavy. It carries expectation. It carries need. It carries emotional obligation. And obligation suffocates desire. The man who does not need her communicates something radically different. He shows that his emotional balance is self-sustained, that his confidence does not depend on her validation, that his happiness is not outsourced, that independence makes his interest feel pure. A woman feels chosen, not required. She senses that being with him is a preference, not a necessity. And preferences are attractive. Necessities are burdens. High-value men never confuse love with dependence. They care deeply, but they do not cling. They connect emotionally, but they do not attach their identity to the connection. And because of that, their presence feels light. Lightness creates space. Space creates freedom. Freedom creates desire. This is why women long for men who don't need them. Because those men allow women to move toward them willingly, without guilt or pressure. Most men think proving how much they need a woman will secure her. In reality, it does the opposite. It turns attraction into responsibility. High-value men avoid this trap entirely. They understand that the strongest emotional position a man can hold is self-sufficiency. And from that position, desire grows naturally. This is the third reason women want the man who doesn't need them. Because he makes her feel free enough to choose him. Section number 4. Why calm detachment feels more masculine than emotional intensity. Most men believe intensity is masculine. They think strong emotions, dramatic gestures, and constant reassurance show strength. But emotionally, intensity often signals insecurity. High-value men understand that calm detachment feels far more masculine than emotional intensity ever could. Calm detachment does not mean coldness. It does not mean disinterest. And it does not mean withholding affection. It means staying emotionally centered regardless of what happens. When a man is emotionally intense, his energy rises and falls with the relationship. His mood shifts with attention. His confidence fluctuates with validation, and that instability is felt immediately. A woman senses that his emotional state is reactive. Reactivity feels unsafe. Calm detachment feels different. A man who is calmly detached remains steady whether things are clear or uncertain. He does not overreact to distance. He does not chase reassurance. He does not escalate emotion to feel secure. That steadiness communicates strength. High-value men do not attach their sense of self to romantic outcomes. They enjoy connection, but they do not depend on it. And because of that, their presence feels grounded rather than consuming. This grounding is deeply attractive. A woman feels that she can lean in without being pulled. She can step back without being punished. She can choose freely without carrying emotional consequences. Freedom combined with strength creates desire. This is why women often describe emotionally independent men as calm, solid, or safe, while still feeling attracted to them. The attraction comes from the man's ability to remain composed without emotional suppression. High-value men do not suppress emotion. They contain it. Containment allows feeling without chaos. It allows closeness without pressure. And it allows desire to grow without fear. Most men try to create attraction by amplifying emotion. High-value men create attraction by stabilizing emotion. This is the fourth reason women want the man who doesn't need them. Because calm detachment signals masculine strength without demand. Section number 5. Why not needing her makes your presence feel rare. Most men try to increase their value by giving more. More time, more attention, more emotional availability. They believe that presence creates importance. But presence without scarcity feels common. High-value men understand that what feels rare is not attention. What feels rare is self-sufficiency. When a man does not need a woman to feel complete, his presence carries weight. It is not automatic. It is not guaranteed. It is offered intentionally, and intentional presence feels valuable. A woman senses this immediately. She feels that access to him is not assumed. She feels that his time is structured. She feels that his attention is selective. And that selectivity creates intrigue. Most men accidentally make themselves predictable. They respond instantly. They adjust their schedule. They stay emotionally available regardless of how the dynamic feels. And in doing so, they remove all mystery. High-value men never remove mystery by force. They preserve it naturally by maintaining their own life, priorities, and direction. They do not disappear. They do not play games. They simply do not overextend. This creates contrast. A woman notices that he is present, but not dependent. Interested, but not chasing. Available, but not orbiting. And that balance makes his presence feel rare. Rarity creates value. When a woman senses that a man's life would continue fully without her, she experiences his attention differently. She does not feel taken for granted. She feels chosen. Chosen attention feels powerful. High-value men never try to convince a woman of their worth. They live in a way that communicates it. Their independence speaks for them. Their calm speaks for them. Their restraint speaks for them. This is why women often remember men who didn't overgive, but instead maintained boundaries and direction. Because those men felt distinct, not louder, not more intense, but more grounded. This is the fifth reason women want the man who doesn't need them. Because his presence feels rare, and rarity is attractive. Section number 6. Why letting go? Calmly is what makes her reconsider everything. Most men believe holding on shows strength. They think persistence proves value. They assume that staying emotionally available will eventually convince her. But emotionally, the opposite happens. Holding on communicates fear of loss. Letting go calmly communicates self-trust. High-value men understand that the moment a man can let go without collapsing, the entire emotional frame shifts. When a man lets go calmly, without anger, without ultimatums, and without emotional negotiation, a woman feels something unexpected. She feels that she is no longer managing his emotions. She is no longer stabilizing the connection. She is no longer the emotional anchor. That loss of responsibility creates space. Space invites reflection. This is why women often reconsider men after those men stop trying. Not because effort disappeared, but because emotional pressure did. Most men let go dramatically. They withdraw with resentment. They disappear to punish. They go cold to regain power. And that kind of letting go feels reactive. High-value men let go without reaction. Their tone stays respectful. Their behavior stays consistent. Their life keeps moving forward. That forward motion is felt. A woman senses that this man did not let go to manipulate. He let go because he trusted himself enough to walk away. And that trust forces a re-evaluation. She begins asking different questions. Was he stronger than I thought? Did I underestimate his independence? Was I confusing his calm with availability? These questions don't come from longing yet. They come from disrupted assumptions. And disrupted assumptions open the door to desire. High-value men never rush to capitalize on this moment. They don't reinsert themselves emotionally. They don't seek reassurance. They don't ask for clarity. They allow the reconsideration to happen naturally. Because when a woman revisits her perception on her own, the emotional impact is deeper. It becomes her realization, not his argument. This is why calm letting go is so powerful. It does not plead. It does not pressure. It does not pursue. It simply removes emotional dependency. And when dependency is removed, attraction has room to return. This is the sixth reason women want the man who doesn't need them, because he can let go without losing himself. Section number 7. The man who doesn't need her becomes the standard. She compares all others to. This is the final shift most men never see, but women feel it long after the connection changes. When a man does not need a woman, he does not just attract her. He recalibrates her expectations. A woman may move on. She may meet other men. She may even start new relationships. But once she experiences a man whose presence felt calm, intentional, and self-sufficient, something inside her changes. That man becomes a reference point. Not because he chased, not because he convinced, but because he never asked her to carry his emotional weight. High-value men leave this imprint naturally. They showed her what it felt like to be chosen without pressure, to be desired without obligation, to be close without being responsible for someone else's stability. That experience is rare, and rare experiences become standards. When a woman later encounters men who are emotionally intense, needy, or dependent, something feels off. The contrast is immediate. Their urgency feels heavy. Their attachment feels demanding. Their attention feels less valuable. Because she has felt the difference. This is why women often say, "I don't know why, but something is missing," when dating after a high-value man. What's missing is the calm strength that comes from a man who doesn't need them. That calm rewires attraction. High-value men never aim to become a standard. They simply refuse to abandon themselves to keep someone else. And that refusal reshapes how they are remembered. The man who doesn't need her doesn't try to be unforgettable. He doesn't try to be superior. He doesn't try to win. He just stays aligned. And alignment has consequences. It raises the bar. It breaks old patterns. It changes what feels normal. This is why women don't forget men who didn't need them. Not because of drama, not because of mystery alone, but because those men showed them a level of emotional strength that cannot be unseen. Once seen, it becomes the benchmark. This is the final reason women want the man who doesn't need them. Because he becomes the man every other man is measured against. In short, the truth most men never accept is simple. A woman does not want to be needed. She wants to be chosen. Chosen by a man who is already whole. Chosen by a man whose life does not pause for approval. Chosen by a man who could walk away and still stand steady. Need turns attraction into responsibility. Responsibility turns desire into pressure. And pressure slowly destroys what could have grown naturally. High-value men understand that love does not require self-abandonment. They connect deeply without attaching their identity to the outcome. They care without clinging. They stay present without losing direction. That balance is rare. When a man does not need a woman to feel confident, calm, or complete, his presence feels different. It feels intentional, grounded, powerful. His attention becomes something that is offered, not demanded. And that is what women respond to. Not because they want distance, not because they want indifference, but because they want freedom paired with strength. The man who doesn't need her does not control. He does not chase. He does not beg to be chosen. He chooses himself first. And when a man chooses himself, something shifts. His energy stabilizes. His boundaries clarify. His presence becomes magnetic without effort. Whether she stays or leaves becomes secondary. The real transformation is internal. You no longer shrink to be accepted. You no longer explain yourself to be understood. You no longer trade your stability for attention. And when a man reaches that point, attraction stops being something he tries to create. It becomes something that follows him naturally. This is the real secret. She doesn't want the man who needs her. She wants the man who could lose her and still move forward, because that man represents strength, safety, and choice. And choice is the foundation of desire. Remember, knowledge means nothing without action. If you're ready to rise above emotion and lead with purpose, join the community today at the link below. Enroll once, grow forever.